Time now for our Healthy Living segment with personal trainer and general manager Eric STRATMAN from CrossFit Eng in Cape Coral. This morning, he's getting us more on the effects of sugar and some of the good alternatives. So, Eric, I see you have a lot of stuff. Well, you have the smiley faces and then the frowny faces next to sugar up there. So, first, we want to say good morning and happy Saturday. How's your weekend going so far?
Excellent, excellent. I think it's, I didn't plan that, but now that we're on dozen day, I had to write that down. Definitely getting that hit from Krispy Kreme and see how that's going to affect our weekend and if it deters us at all from getting the whole dozen or maybe just one.
So a big thing with the holiday season's approaching, we're about 2 weeks out right now, regardless of if you're hitting Krispy Kreme at some point today, is the amount of food that people are gonna, be putting into their bodies. You're gonna be at parties, you're gonna be, maybe at work parties, virtually, whatever you're doing this year. Generally, that means a lot of goodies, a lot of sweets, and sugar is a big thing that people just kind of tend to lean towards a little bit. Is it more about moderation or trying to substitute sugar for something else?
Great question. And that's, I think originally, I want everybody to think about starting out with moderation. And I'm glad you mentioned that because when we look at sugar, and again, it gives us, very happy feelings and the hormone stimulation that it gives us is tremendous. And the way it makes us feel, although that's short-lived, but understanding that process and that cycle that sugar really takes on your blood sugar level and how that's going to, really fire up that dopamine effect. And, there's so much data that shows that sugar's more addictive than cocaine. And it's hard to even think about something that we ingest every day as something, on a higher level than that. And then we go on this roller coaster ride because when we spike our blood sugar and we take in a lot of sugar, it drops below normal. And then we get that signal in our brain, hey, you're hungry again, even though we don't need to eat. It makes us eat again, and then it's just up and down. You spike it up, it drops down, and that really leads to that hormone insulin, which, we talked about dopamine, the brain effect, but insulin is that hormone that is released in our body when we ingest sugar that is a storage hormone, so it tells our cells to store everything, but then at the same time, it causes inflammation. So, that's that word that's thrown around, and if we can reduce the inflammation in our body, we're going to see a lot of changes in how we feel and react mentally and physically every day. That's from lung tissue being inflamed, having trouble breathing. Obviously, this, season of pandemic, and we worry about, our immune systems. What can we do to have the best fighting chance against whether it's COVID or the normal flu, is really making sure we're keeping our inflammation down and we're able to have that high functioning immune system. So looking at and moderating, as we talked about in the beginning, moderating that sugar intake is going to be your best bet. And then just looking at and strategically planning like, hey, I'm going to have this sugary treat. Okay, that's it. It's when we have the one after another after another. Yeah, it's holiday season. We're going to get that day that's, going to go a little off the rails, but that's key is moderation. It's that one day on the holiday, not the whole holiday season. So
not the holiday season, of course, all leading up from now until Christmas, which is just a little under 2 weeks away. And a big thing we've discussed in the past as well are something associated with sugar, a lot of those empty calories, so they won't fill you up. And then you will just become hungry a little bit more later on, a lot of those empty calories coming from products and things with sugar in them. So what might be just a few tips for people that are having maybe people over for the holiday seasons and goodies are coming in and pies and cakes and cupcakes and stuff like that? Maybe for somebody that's hosting the holiday this year, maybe just put a little less dessert out or maybe ask people to bring some food with a little bit more substance.
You hit it. We've talked about this in the past is that, we're filling up on, protein and fibrous vegetables and starches are your go-to first. So the more full you are, the less that you are going to consume. But it's really looking at even moderation with you're going to put out cookies, make the cookies smaller. Because when you think, hey, I'm eating 3 cookies, but they're small, it's 3 cookies. If you have this huge cookie and you're like, oh, I only had 2, and that would have equaled 10 smaller cookies, that helps that moderation right away and just get those large amounts of water in, large amounts of protein, when you have to go back for seconds and that fills you up. and prevent you from ingesting way more dessert than we all should. I know it's hard to resist, but just having a strategy going in makes a big difference.
Always want to thank Eric Stratman from CrossFit Eng in Cape Coral joining us this morning, talking a little bit about sugar, of course, the side effects from sugar as we approach the holiday season, and then what you can do maybe alternatively to limit the amount of goodies and sweets that you're having as we approach Christmas and then, of course, the new year. Now time for our Healthy Living segment with personal trainer and general manager Eric Stratman from CrossFit Eng in Cape Coral. This morning, he's getting us a little bit more on the effects of sugar and maybe some of the good alternatives. Now, Eric, I'm just going to put this out there. There's no alternative to grabbing that cupcake or piece of pie or something like that, of course, during the holiday season, but the big word people need to keep in mind is moderation.
You hit the nail on the head, sir, and a good morning to you. And yeah, moderation is key with sugar intake, but that's why I kind of had a little switch. We gave you a little bit of a graphic on the last one, talked a little bit about insulin, but this is a great alternative, right? We're in the gym, we're working out. We have a great way to moderate our sugar intake, because if we associate some of that sugar intake to, it doesn't have to be, hey, I'm going to the gym and crushing it for an hour. It's go for a 5 or 10 minute walk, but really helping yourself to enjoy the holiday season and just be aware. And that's something we really want to encourage the viewers, is be aware of the sugar you're taking in and allow yourself that treat, but it's one after another. So something in between each treat. Are you having a hit of protein? Are you having a large glass of water? Because it's always easy to have a little bit of ham, a little bit of potatoes, and then 5 pieces of pie, cookies, cakes, and we're at those parties all season long. It's not just Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. That's fine. You want to have that day you indulge, and one after another, that's okay. Your body can handle that. It's when we're doing it on a regular basis. Like, grandma gave us those plate of cookies and we're grabbing 4 or 5 of those every time we go by, or just one an hour, is going to affect your insulin level and your blood sugar. So it's just really being aware of it, and then just moderating when you're having it. Enjoy the holiday on the holiday, not for the entire, few weeks we have left of the year.
Something that always gets me in trouble, Eric, and I can tell you, a lot of people say this. You go to a holiday event, you have the Tupperware, you have the tinfoil ready on the side, and you say, no, I don't want any of that. It's going to the hips, it's going to the butt afterwards. We don't want any of this in the house. Is it important to indulge on the day and then maybe keep the leftovers and some of the excess sweets out of the house?
I think we already know the answer to that question, but short answer is yes. I mean, we want to make sure that, what environment are we putting ourselves in? If we're going to a friend's house, or even if we're hosting, have them take everything. Because if you have piles of things that are very good tasting, not only does it taste good, but it gives you that hormonal response neurologically, and your body wants it. Because as we talked about in the last segment, sugar's more addictive than cocaine. So when you have that hit and your body wants it, and if it's around, you're going to go after it. If it's not something that is easily accessible, you have to go out to get it. Just like we talk about with our regular nutrition clients here, is that, you have that cheat meal, cheat day. It's you go out and do it, or you do it for 90 minutes or so and then throw everything away, dump ketchup on it or whatever, hot sauce. That way you're not going back in after it and, getting those cupcakes or the donuts, or even here on dozen day, right? So it's just really helping yourself to regulate that intake and help you, come out of the day successful. And again, like we said, if it's take a walk, do your CrossFit workout, do a few burpees. I know those are your favorite, Jeff. So, just keep those calories going.
Guilty on the burpees, not even close whatsoever. Now, before we let you go, Eric, I just wanted to ask one last question. You said filling up on water is a good thing for people to do before the holiday season, and then you also recommend, a little bit of exercise in between. Is there anything else people can do maybe the day after the holiday to just get back on track, or is it just as simple as getting back in the gym?
That's it. Just get right back on track. Too often we get, off track because we had a bad meal, or we had a coffee with too much sugar in it, or whatever it was, and the rest of that day is gone, or the rest of the week. It's just get right back on the next meal, the next morning, the next day, the next week. Get right back on track and keep yourself motivated.
Always want to thank Eric Stratman with CrossFit ENG in the Cape, talking to us a little bit about the holiday season and some alternatives to sugar this holiday season, of course, as we are under 2 weeks until Christmas.